What's going on, draft sickos? Welcome to the ground floor with no ceilings, part of the field of 68. My name is Corey Zelba. I am the Wolf of Ball Street. I am here with Tyler Rucker, the conductor of chaos, and Tyler Metcalf, the mad scientist. Fellas, how are we doing today?
Doing fantastic. I get to talk hoops with you guys. The countdown of college basketball is really getting close. I think 19, 18 days. NBA's almost back. Magical time of the year. I'm doing great, Corey.
The fact that we're getting scrimmages leaked, pro day videos, Rob and Jeff and the rest of the field of 68 crew going around to all these media days. I'm so excited. We're just getting teased. It's right around the corner, and I can't wait for actual basketball to get back.
It feels a little edging type stuff going on right now. We're excited for the real games to start. Everyone's itching. I'm getting, I got texts from some NBA personnel that are like, these pro days that we're going to are cool. I need some games, man. And I was like, I feel you on that. And I think we're going to talk about what some of that might look like and maybe some questions that we have today. We're going to run through the no ceilings top 10 guys right now. This is, our unreleased big board. There will be another update before I think, our big board gets released, but as where we stand right now, and we just keep tabs internally, we're going to run through like the top 10 guys that collectively No Ceilings has put together as, potential top 10. And we're going to ask one burning question of each prospect to kind of dig into their game a little bit. And it could be a positive question. It could be a negative question. But it is a question that we have about these prospects. So the first guy on our list is Bennett Sturtz. I'm going to kick it off to you, Metcalf. What is your burning question for Bennett Sturtz this year?
Just, can he do it again? We all know how good the tape was, how good the numbers were last year at Drake, but, doing it at Drake is one thing. No offense. Doing it at Iowa in the Big Ten every single night, it's a different thing. So I don't need the numbers to be the exact same outlandish, but can he get back in the same ballpark? And if so, 10 might be incredible value for him.
Well, here's what I want to ask you is, let's say that he does match that production.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, like you said, in the Big Ten, he's still going to be old. He's going to be almost 23 years old on draft night. Even if he matches his production, Rucker, do you think that NBA teams are still going to fade Bennett Sturtz regardless of that production? We just saw Nick Clifford have an incredible season as an older prospect, balled out in big moments in the tournament, was, a miracle shot by Derek Queen away from, who knows how far that run lasts. And he still went in the back end of the first round. So do you think NBA teams fade him either way?
I don't know what to think about when it comes to the age factor. I feel like I'm always going to bat for the older guys, being like, hey, they can play. This is why they stayed in college, was to get better. It's going to be tough, you guys. I really think, Sturtz had an unbelievable year, almost, 19, 4 and 5 on almost 50, 40, 80. If he does that at a higher competition level, are we going to start to be like, hey, look at this guy? Are you going to really pass this up in the lottery? Because this is a dangerous weapon on the court. He's around 6'4". He can shoot it from another zip code, and the playmaking flashes. I know a lot of us in No Ceilings are big fans of him, but we see this every year. We always say, like, there's some guys that should go earlier. Jaime Jaquez, Nick Clifford, as you just brought up.
Zach Edey?
At some point, when does the floor raising prospects get a little bit more than love than just, swinging for the fences? I don't know if you guys feel the same, but I think Sturtz, if he has a year similar to that, like, he's a lottery player. He's that talented of a prospect, but it's going to be a big challenge this year, I think.
I think measurements will be big for him.
Yeah.
I think, Frank, sorry to cut you off, Corey,
yeah,
but
no.
I would be pretty shocked if NBA teams took him top 10 or lottery. Just give him
for sure.
It's every single year they show us what they like, and it's not 23-year-old average athletes. Like, they're going to find ways to nitpick him and overthink his game, and
is it the system?
Tear down the numbers.
Yeah,
right.
The system,
he's a system player. It's like, he did at Iowa too, but he's older. He should, he's older than everyone else out there. He should be doing that anyways. Do I think that's the right decision? No, I think he could very easily end up returning lottery value, but at the end of the day, I'd be pretty floored if he went lottery.
Yeah, it seems like he won't, but it seems like he should. I don't like, he finished like 70% at the rim. Like he had like really good steal percentage. He rebounds. He hits shots from everywhere. He makes every read. It's just like, how many times do we need to see an Austin Reeves type of player just be awesome before we're just like, let's just do it, guys. Let's buy in. I want to buy in to Bennett Sturts, I believe. But it's going to be interesting to see him in that Iowa system. And, I mean, maybe he doesn't live up to the hype and match the production. And this is a moot point, and he's more, in that Neek/second round range. That's an outcome for him too. But at no ceilings, collectively, it seems as the entire crew is buying in early. Let's move on, Rucker, to Jaden Quaintance headed to Kentucky. What is your one burning question for Jaden Quaintance this year?
I think it's just how long until he is healthy and the rust comes off for me. This is one of the top prospects I think a lot of fans are getting excited about. People are considering him maybe a top 5, pick candidate, but he's coming off an ACL injury. He's, we've seen some rumblings that maybe, December is when he's going to get back to the court, but obviously he's, doing some work with the team right now. But big year for Quaintance, where I think he could sort of cement himself as one of the top bigs in this class. Still really young. He's got that on his side because he reclassified, wasn't eligible as a freshman to be drafted at Arizona State. But man, the weight gain, and I've joked with Metcalf on the YouTube channel for No Ceilings, but Kentucky's the first team website to add a decimal point to height measurements. So listed at 6'10.5", 250, 255, like, if he buys into being a full-time center, I think that too is I'm cheating, two-parter. If he buys in to be a full-time center, big, rim running lob threat, I think that's going to get me really excited about Quaintance.
Metcalf, do you buy into the weight gain and measurements? I mean, there's been some pictures, and I don't know if it says he gained like 30 pounds.
It's a lot.
It's a lot.
That's a lot.
A lot. Come on.
He's super young, right? Rucker mentioned he's super, super young. So it's not inconceivable that he hits a growth spurt where he grows another 1.5 inches. He was listed at 6'9" last year.
Yeah.
I can buy into that. The weight gain feels aggressive.
Yeah. And, especially rehabbing a torn ACL, it's like, are we sure that's awesome weight to be putting on? I'm cautiously optimistic that height is real, because if it is, it makes that transition to being a full-time 5 so much easier. And that's what I want to see from him. I don't care if he shoots it at all. I don't think he has a good touch. I don't think it's going to be something, maybe, at least short term, I guess never say never, but I don't think that's what he should be focusing in. And instead, if you can incorporate some higher level passing reads, do something other than just rim run on the offensive end, whether it's short roll passing or
I like the passing
a little floater. I just want to see more of it, and coming from that true 5 spot. So I'm cautiously optimistic about
I think Pope's system is going to accentuate the passing.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. We saw it with Amari
sure.
Williams. Like, I don't really have concerns. I mean, obviously the knee issue is you come back in the middle of the season. If you were fully healthy and you just jumped into the middle of the season, it would still take you time to catch up to the speed of the game, knock the rust off. So now you're rehabbing. I mean, he's perplexing to me because his statistical profile is like kind of absurd also, like his advanced stats on that team, his defensive impact. But I do think it's a real question. I get the people who want to buy in top 5. I get the people who are like, hey, his offense, like his shooting and his touch is so bad that like, what does he do on offense? I get both sides of it. He is going to be intriguing. And I think that this is the range to start out. Anything earlier than this kind of feels aggressive just within his situation and the things that he needs to improve upon.
Just real quick, do either of you guys have any concerns about whether or not the defense could be damaged or limited long-term because of the injury? Or do you think it would be more of a just a short-term thing?
I'm not really concerned. I do think that his defense maybe I'll say it's properly rated, not underrated, overrated. But I don't think people talk about the things he needs to work on as a defender as much, because like his physical tools make up for so much that some of the fundamentals I think are lost. And in high school, when he's so physically dominant, I think you just get away with that. And because I also do think he has good feel and like basketball IQ on that end, he could just dominate without kind of like worrying about like, oh, I got to really like get low and try to like push this guy off his spot instead of just like staying up and contest with length on the block. He's got things I want to see. And I think that missing part of this year is going to be like, oh, it sucks that he doesn't get to kind of work on that stuff necessarily and flesh that out this year. And it might take a little bit longer, but I don't think like there's any long-term concerns about his defense. I mean, at this point, like, who was the last guy that was really severely hampered by an ACL injury?
Right.
This is not, Derrick Rose 15 years ago. Thanks for bringing that up. Where it careers are over now. I feel like they've figured that stuff out, so I'm not really worried.
I like him a lot. The last thing I would say, I like him a lot. I'm a little lower because it's just watching him. I'm like, are you going to overdraft that when you miss out on Boozer? Is that what teams are going to think? Like, if you miss Boozer, are you going to be like, well, we got to get a big. We're going to take JQ. I look at him as Derek Lively. You'd love to get him around 10, 11. Maybe you draft him a little earlier if you really, really buy in. But I just think it's more of like this rim running center with serious defensive upside. Like, man, his highlights are going to get people really in their feelings because those blocks are Kevin Garnett emphatic, very angry rejections, and they're awesome. But I don't know. I don't know if I'm crazy or if you guys feel the same way.
I look at him, I guess Lively's, a good call. I think I'm more like Robert Williams, and it's a similar kind of player.
Yeah.
So I don't think that's far off. But yeah, I don't think there's like an underlying like Karl Anthony Towns offensive outcome because he missed a bunch of threes last year. I'm not saying that he won't knock down a few threes in the NBA or anything like that, but I'm not going to start thinking of higher end outcomes until you shoot 60% from the free throw line. He gets there, we could start talking about, some higher offensive upside. And considering he's rehabbing a knee injury and shooting is probably one of the only things you could do early on, I hope that shooting actually from the free throw line improves a lot. Let's move on to Koa Pete, number 8 prospect headed to Arizona. Here's my question. Rucker, is Koa Pete's game built for the modern NBA?
I'm struggling with this one. I feel like we could ask 10 different questions, and I like Koa Pete, but I think that's the best question there, Corey. So well put. I don't know. I really don't, because, I've talked about this with Metcalf, and he's planted this bug inside my brain, and it's just growing every day. But he said, hey, is Koa Pete going to be Aaron Gordon or Derek Williams at Arizona? And I was just like, I hate you. You literally have created a monster. And I go back and forth with that because Derek Williams, great college player at Arizona, didn't pan out in the NBA. Aaron Gordon struggled a little bit, and it just resurrected his career, but it was because of the shot. It was because of his role. He figured out how to be a smart 3-and-D player. That could be tough. I struggle with Koa Pete's shot. I don't know if he's going to be this floor spacer ever, or if he's just going to be more of like a college bully ball type of forward. What about you guys?
I get that he's physical. Basically everybody in his family is like either a Division I or professional football player. It's insane how like the athletes in his family. So yes, physicality is a part of that. And yes, he's good at playing a physical brand of basketball, but I do think he's way more skilled than I think, the conversation steers to. Yeah. It's smooth.
Yeah. Especially for his position.
And I also think he's got like soft touch around the rim. It's not just like, let me dip my shoulder and go through. I think he's got some like touch finishes and stuff too. I love his little like mid-range game and his pace. Of course, like the power finishes, the dunks, the athleticism, I think that's necessary. But I do think there's questions. Metcalf, I know you never have overreacted to a defensive scouting report. Mm-hmm. I do worry about the defense a little bit because we could talk about all these awesome physical tools. I feel like he didn't really use them as much as I wanted to see in high school, Metcalf.
Yeah, especially on the defensive end, because like
Yeah.
I think his defensive highlight tape rocks because he's super athletic, and when he rotates over for a big weak side block and yeah, exactly, and throws it into the 10th row, it's awesome. The problem is that's like 1 out of every 20 possessions. We kind of talked about with Quaintance just relying on his athleticism and physicality on defense and not really diving into the fundamentals. I get that tenfold with Koa Pete, where I thought most of his defense in high school was really, really troubling and just kind of lazy a lot of the times, unfortunately. Yeah. But then it looked better with Team USA over the summer and a little more structured format. But he also got into way more foul trouble in those games as well. So I'm still kind of in wait and see mode, but I desperately need the defense to be a lot better, because when he's locked in, there's some really good stuff, but it's just nowhere near as consistent as it should be for a guy of his pedigree and with his physical tools.
And, the other thing is, if the shot was there, you could be a little more patient with some of the defense. There's question marks about the shot. When he shoots it with confidence, there were some times with the Compton Magic where he would like walk into threes and like just let it fly. I don't know if he's going to do that. I would wager to say he's probably not doing that at Arizona. So there's going to be those questions all year. And I think that if he shoots the 3 ball the way that Derek Williams did, Rutgers' head is going to, twist like the Exorcist all year trying to figure that out. But I do think that's the question of the modern NBA game. You need to shoot it from the spot. He's not big enough to play like the 5. I don't think he's strong enough to play the 5. And, as you start sizing down, you need the shot to be there. And the thing that you keep coming back to is like, he also just wins a lot. Like
he does
4 gold medals, with Team USA, McDonald's All-American, Nike Hoop Summit. There's just so much pedigree there. He's perplexing. I'm buying into his game, and I think he's going to be impactful, but I do need to see it, because I don't know if his game's built for the modern NBA.
If the defense, for you, a question for both of you, if the defense really is legit and he shocks us out of the gate and is consistent, is that enough for you to be like, okay, I could buy in and be patient with the shot? We'll get our
for
coaching
me, yes.
staff. Yeah, okay.
Yeah,
so we just need one area.
Yeah, it's not a capability thing. It's the want to.
Yeah, exactly.
I have to. As I watched Rookie of the Year last week. Incredible movie. The have to. He needs to have to on the defensive side of the ball.
I get it.
All right, Metcalf, number 7 on our board, but probably higher in our hearts, is Caleb Wilson from North Carolina. What is your one burning question for Caleb Wilson?
What is he? I don't know. Like, depending on the day, depending on the day or the game, you're like, oh no, and then the next day it's like, oh my god, this guy rocks, and then you just hear the intel and it's awesome, and it's just the ultimate. Oh man, if this goes right, this is gonna rock, and if it doesn't, someone might get fired. So I'm really perplexed and fascinated to see what it looks like at North Carolina this year.
It's just so fun. I mean, and you hear like, oh my God, he looks great at the pro day from NBA personnel who are there. And you could just you can really talk yourself into some stuff. But Rucker, what does he look like? What's his floor, like his draft stock floor, if he still shoots less than 30% from 3?
I keep wondering if he just buys all in defensively, and this is like a Jaden McDaniels, new hybrid, new breed of it. Because I'm with you guys. You watch some games, you're like, man, what do I do here? And then you watch a couple games, you're like, oh my gosh, go get him. How do you get Caleb Wilson some way? I'm focusing on the shot. I have questions with the shot. I think it's the big thing for me this year is like, the consistency is number one. Like what you guys say, like you wake up on one side of the bed and you're like, okay, which version are we going to get Caleb Wilson today? But if he could be consistent, give you a couple game stretches where you're like, okay, he's really starting to put it together. I think that looks great. But I'm looking at Jaden McDaniels as kind of the floor to, you're hoping you get that early on and you could go to work with him if you're an NBA team and start to develop him and be patient, but be like, hey, buy in defensively, be one of these elite guys with your measurements, your athleticism, your awareness. And then we keep adding a little bit to the offense, because offensively, there's sometimes he gets downhill and you're like, oh my gosh, just hold on for your dear life if you're on defense. But I don't know. I just think I could buy in really quick if Caleb's just a madman on defense this year. And I'm already buying in, but you guys know what I mean. Like, I could really get dangerous with, like, go get Caleb Wilson. There's so much untapped potential here.
Yeah, for me, it's like, it's easy to be like, well, look at Drake Powell, who came from that system and was not that great last year. And, he gets drafted in the first round at what was it, 20? So, somewhere around there. But then also I realized, well, Brooklyn had 5 picks. and if Brooklyn doesn't have 5 picks, does he fall to the second round? Now Caleb's bigger. And, I think that matters. But yeah, I'm just trying to figure out what his floor might look like.
I knew it was a weaker draft, but like Tijan Saloon went 6.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I would be pretty surprised if the defense looks like we think it will, along with the rim pressure, along with some of the passing stuff. And even if the shot is at like 27%, or it's just like not a tool for him, with those physical tools, he's going to test awesome. He's probably going to interview awesome based on what we're hearing. I would be really, really surprised if he fell out of the lottery.
Well, speaking of Tijan Saloon, that brings us to our number 6 prospect, Nate Ament. And I'm just kidding. Nate Ament headed to Tennessee. Rucker, one burning question for Nate Ament, which, by the way, we've been saying is his name wrong.
It's Ament.
Ament, yeah.
Okay. What's the in-between game look like? That's my biggest question for him this year. I'm not worried about him shooting. Nate Ament, there you go, is going to be able to shoot it. He's going to be a very fun threat from outside. He can really, stretch the floor, but great size. I just want to see, what does the in-between game look like when it comes to, if he's switching on to physical opponents, can he create for himself? Can he set guys up? Can he let, the outside shot all of a sudden create, his angles off the bounce and get to the hoop, get to the free throw line? I just want to see the in-between game, the physicality. Can he, create some easy buckets for it, whether it's drawing fouls or, throwing a pump fake and getting a mid-range wide open, little stuff like that. Cause high school, you see a lot of stuff where he really struggles against smaller guards that get right up in him. And the footwork, to me, I got some questions, but that's for me, guys. I want to see what he looks like besides shooting the basketball when he's wide open and taller than everyone.
See, I feel like the in-between game is pretty there. Like, because
I'm kind of in the same boat.
That's fine. You guys don't have to agree with me.
Well,
that's
the
okay.
thing is like, that's his final option a lot of times, because he can't get all the way to the rim.
Right.
So
that's why I'm worried.
He falls into like, okay, well, I got walled off. I got beat to the spot. And so now I'm going to go into my turnaround fader, which.
Oh, yeah. Yes. I'm trying to say, like, finishing, getting downhill to the basket. Yeah. Sorry. So I'm kind of summarizing is what I meant.
Well, I think that it's like that whole physicality, the athleticism, like him having to rely on the mid-range sometimes is because, well, and let's be clear, he is very capable of hitting these shots. Like, and he's hit them over tough competition. You go and watch him play Darren Peterson, AJ DePonza, like, he's putting in work. Like, he's a talented kid. It's just like that weight gain that I guess we saw in the Gavoni video. Like, does that translate enough that I don't know if that's going to help his burst, but like, is he going to be able to put his shoulder into somebody and get deeper into that paint and not get stuck in the mid range? Metcalf.
I'm skeptical. Because like I like when he has his back to the basket. Like, I think he's actually pretty crafty with some of his footwork and head fakes and shoulder fakes and fadeaways and that kind of stuff. And when he played AJ, he ended up with almost 30, I think. And a lot of that came at the line because of fouls he was drawing.
Mhm.
But the flip side of that was he could barely get a paint touch because he hasn't figured out how to play fast while playing slow yet. So I think there's going to be a lot of like nuance and patience when it comes to his on-ball creation. And I'm not sure it's ever going to get there given the lack of explosiveness in his game. The weight gain is awesome, but like he's still rail thin. And I'm going to have to see him actually bully someone in the post or the mid-range before I really believe it. But if he starts doing that this year, then it's like, all right, maybe more of like a Chris Middleton type of outcome is a little more realistic for him than some of these like than like Paul George that I keep seeing get thrown out there.
That's an interesting name.
Middleton,
Now, let me
yeah,
ask you
it's
something. He didn't go to, one of these powerhouse schools, right?
Right.
High school courts, a lot smaller than the courts he's going to play on. He's going to be playing with better competition. How much do you think that there's a world where it's just like, hey, like he's playing off Jacoby Gillespie now, like he's playing off way more talented guys on a bigger floor. And like, that just might help him get to the rim more and not have to settle as much because, the coaching staff isn't going to be like, hey, just load up, overhelp, make everybody else beat us. Cause now like Tennessee's going to have guys that if you say that, like will beat you if that's the case, how much does that help him this year?
But I mean, weren't we kind of saying similar things about like Brandon Miller and Ace Bailey? And I know they're not 1-for-1 situations, but those guys still struggled with their rim pressure and stuff. And I would say had better teammates than what Ament is going into. So I don't know. And it's, I'm still shocked that he went to Tennessee just because of Rick Barnes's recent track record of playing freshmen. But I have a lot of questions, especially if they try and throw him into like an on-ball, don't connect type of creator scorer role. I'm a little worried about how that could go.
But I will say this about him, and this is what I was trying to get at. It's like with the in-between game, I probably should have just said multi-level scoring. Like I wanted to see what else it looks like besides a three-point shot. But if the weight gain all of a sudden turns him into be like, hey, I'm going to be a post-up guy that can just turn around and hit jumpers over you. All right, I'm in on that. Like I will buy in on that because like you said earlier, Corey, like he does have some instances where like, okay, he hit some tough shots and Ace Bailey's a good comp. Last year we were kind of all like fascinating. There was guys there are people that didn't really like Ace as a prospect. There's others that were like, I still buy. With Ace, I felt how quick he was. Like he would get very explosive and get to his places. Nate just seems sometimes like it takes a little bit while to get going. Maybe that's because I'm just looking at him. I'm like, I feel like you're more of like a stretch 4, but I just want to see how everything holds up. And that's where it's like the finishing, the quickness, the burst, but maybe that the weight gain and the, putting on his frame is going to help him a little bit more when it comes to like, okay, he doesn't have to try to dribble much to create his own shot. He could post up smaller defenders. I don't know. It's just going to be interesting.
Well, maybe he ends up somewhere in between like the Brandon Miller season and the Ace Bailey season because he's got a better handle than Ace.
Yes.
He doesn't have the same like vertical pop.
Yeah.
And Brandon Miller, there might be a similar outcome there. Brandon Miller ended up being like an absolutely nuclear shooter, and we know Nate is like a really good shooter. But
yeah, right.
That's also a situation that you don't want to be like, oh, he'll just beat Brandon Miller and match that because that's a high bar. So we'll see. We're going to find out soon. At number 5, we have Tunde Yusufu, who I will ask our burning question. We absolutely adored him when we saw him at the Nike Hoop Summit. I was like so impressed at the McDonald's All-American game when I watched him. I love him as a person. I love him as a player. But my big burning question is, will the outside shot or shot making in general be good enough to allow him to be that athletic, physical slasher, at the college level? Metcalf, what do you think?
I think it will. He was just so impressive, like you said, at Hoop Summit, at like just the character, the coachability, the work rate, the passion, how much it meant to him to be there. It was impossible not to be incredibly impressed with it. And then you just saw the athleticism and the natural scoring ability. It's like, oh man, there could be something really, really special with this kid. Then when we got back from that event, I dove back into his high school film. I'm like, I hate this a lot. But then I just kind of have to keep reminding myself of like, that was 6 months before the event you just saw him at. And it's like, all right, so if he's grown that much in just this 6-month span, what's going to happen over the next year? What's going to happen over the next 2 years? So I still just kind of need to see it a little bit with him, but I'm incredibly optimistic about his overall outcome, and with his scoring capabilities, I'm not sure you can really put a ceiling on it.
I will say, you know, because the high school film there, he took a jump from what we saw in high school to, I think, what we saw as a shot maker and the confidence to buy into that in the all-star circuit. But I will say, like, you know, Cali Drafts, who I think he got hired by the Denver Nuggets, had before he got hired, he had a public, you know, EYBL BPM list, and Tunde finished second in the EYBL behind Boozer. So like, even with some of the like, oh my gosh, this is raw.
Yeah.
It's like, well, it still worked and was impactful, you know, compared to his peers. And, you know, we're talking about him on the No Ceilings unreleased big board at number 5 coming in to the season. So it's not like, you know, expectations are low here. But there is still questions. I mean, where are you at with this, Rucker?
Yeah, I think that the shot's a big question for me too. It's just more consistency, because what Metcalf pointed out was great, because with the growth you saw in that time. And then I got to see him at Damian Lillard's, you know, Formula Zero camp a couple months later. And I was like, oh gosh, he's even better. Like, so I was just like, this is the trajectory is going up in a hurry. Tunde is just one of those, like, there's so many special parts of his game. He's got the body of a 8-year NBA vet already. He's just a physique machine. Like, he's so strong. Gets downhill really, really easily, and he's a force getting around the basket. But I think there's some creativity too with finishing. It's just the shot for me. It's more, are you going to rely upon it a little bit too much early at Baylor, or are you going to try to work to get downhill? Because I think also the playmaking's really started to blossom. Like, when I saw him at that camp, I was like, man, Tunde looks great with the decision making and some of these dimes he's throwing out. So for me, I'm with you, Corey. It's just a shot this year for me. I know he can score in a hurry, but it's how consistent, how efficient can you be? And
we've seen Baylor be a really great spot for shooting guards to be put in position to succeed. We saw it with VJ Edgecombe last year, and I think Tunde probably has like a lot of similarities in how they're going to play. You know, even Jacoby Walter, who was inconsistent, you know, still got drafted in the first round. Keontae George, you know, Davian and Jared Butler, you know, like there, it's just been a guard factory over the last few years. And like Scott Drew's getting the most out of these guys in like that don't all play 100% similar. So he's going to know what to do with him, to develop him, to put him in a position to get it to the next level. So I am optimistic with it. At number 4, Michael Brown Jr. Metcalf, hit me with your question for Michael Brown. I got a big one, but I want to hear yours.
I'm not sure I have any. How consistent can the defense be? Because I'm pretty optimistic. And what he showed over the last year is insane. Along with the growth spurt, some of those side-by-side pictures that came out over the summer, very encouraging. And
next to Donovan Mitchell, where he looked a few inches taller.
Correct. I thought he was the best player for Team USA at FIBA U19s this summer. He was incredible at Hoop Summit. He's just been awesome, and he just keeps there like a rapid rate of improvement. If the defense comes in at like average or even above average, or like just the defensive playmaking is absurd, then it's like this guy's not falling past 4.
We're talking superstar level player.
Yeah.
If he's not getting bullied defensively, that's his ceiling. We know what he is as a shot maker, as a playmaker. Here's what I want to know. How concerned should we be about his rim finishing? Because it has never been good. Like over the last, like OTE, DME, like it's just not there right now. like he's like sub 50% like for a while. Now, part of that is he has had those massive growth spurts over the, recent time. So he's going from like a smaller guard to like potentially a big guard if, he's listed at the correct height on the team site. His athleticism, like he's had some pretty like breathtaking dunks over the last year. Should we be like, yeah, don't worry about it that much? Or is it like, that is going to be a big part of his efficiency and we should worry about it a little bit?
I think it's definitely going to be something we're watching closely this year because, it's like, okay, with every prospect, we're trying to find the one area that we're like, okay, we want to nitpick because we're trying to be like, well, what's the one area we really need to track this year? And I feel like with Mikel, there's so many positives. You're like, okay, what is it? And that's what I wrote down too. I was like, the finishing, what's it going to look like this year? I don't need it to be great out of the gate, but can it develop? Can he figure out? Can he play that in-between game? And maybe that's the proper usage. There you go, guys. Can he is there a floater added to it? Is he going to be able to create contact and get to the foul line or welcome it? Or is he going to try to kind of float on the perimeter? They got a really talented backcourt. Adrian Woolley, Ryan Conwell's going to be there. Louisville's going to be really fun. So there's going to be some games where they're sharing the box score, spotlight when it's like, oh, who had the hot hand today? But I think, Mikel, the biggest thing for me is I just want to see what the finishing's looking like, around the trees. Because, hey, he's going to be going up to even stronger, tougher defenses at the next level.
Yeah, you look like you got something to say. Hit it.
No,
it's stop being shy. Go for it.
It's definitely an issue when you're around that 50% or God below it. But I think I do chalk a lot of that up to that a lot of those numbers are pre-growth spurt and pre-physical development and weight gain and strength gain. And what I'm not too concerned about is his mentality when he attacks the rim, because he does draw a ton of fouls, or at least he did in high school.
He doesn't shy away from
USA.
it.
Right.
And that's more encouraging. That's if he was, contorting his body to avoid stuff and being afraid once he gets there, that would make me a little more concerned. But his free throw numbers and how many free throw attempts he was drawing and how many fouls he was drawing throughout high school makes me more encouraged, especially after this weight and height gain. That's like, all right, maybe once you kind of adjust to your body, that we see the at rim finishing continue to improve. But if it's still kind of where it was and we see the free throw numbers tail back, it could get a little concerning.
It can. It's going to be interesting. Everyone's super high on him. He's a maniacal worker. Like, the intel's great. We saw the mentality up close in games, at practices. I'm going to buy in, but it's something to monitor. And now we get to the fun part, gentlemen. It's the top three. It is the top three, potentially one of the most hyped top three that we've had. Probably, since we started No Ceilings, right? There's got to be the most hyped trio.
Yes.
Second to Sar and Ricochet and Reset.
It depends how much weight you're going to throw on Wemby, but yeah, it's up there.
Yeah, he's not. There was a lot of hype there for sure. I guess that's the ballpark we're talking here. And at number 3 on the No Ceilings board, it's AJ DeBonsa out of BYU. Rucker, hit me with the burning question for AJ.
It feels so bad just saying he's at 3.
What? I'm going to be honest. I don't feel bad about it.
No,
I just watched a bunch of
3
games for a film breakdown.
I just want to have them all at 1A, 1B, 1C. It's for me, I'm not going to just cop out and say it's the shot. What's the next part of the game to be unlocked for me? I talked with Metcalf. I've talked with you, Corey. Like, the defense could get really fun and scary in an awesome way this year. I think that he's got that much potential. Does he buy into that? We'll wait and see. I think, Kevin Young and BYU is going to be perfect for AJ. They're really going to bring out the best basketball in him, and he's got a great roster alongside him. I just want to see the next part of his game that's really going to take that step forward. Is it the playmaking? Is it the defense? I think he'll figure out the shot.
Playmaking
I really
for
do.
me. The playmaking for me. I just watched and clipped up like 10 games. He might have made 6 passes. He is probably the most aggressive scorer I've ever scouted. Like he has a one-track mind right now. And it's not to say he can't pass, because some of the passes that he does make are like, dude, you just slung a live dribble left-handed like cross-court weak side skip on a rope into your shooter's pocket. Why don't you do that more often? But he's just like, what do I got to do to get 30? Like his mentality is just like, I need to get 30. I'm not worried about his shot. He takes a lot of tough ones. Some of his misses can be ugly, but he's going to get guarded on the perimeter and he's going to make a bunch of them. And it's going to continue to get better. We see that all the time with guys like this who are comfortable taking those shots. I just got to know, like, dude, are you willing to pass the ball? It's not that you can't. Are you going to be willing to do it? Because at Utah Prep, he was not willing to play make. And I think that's one of the big things when we talk about the discussion with the rest of the guys. They don't have that question necessarily, and for me, like, I agree. The defense, when he's on the ball and he's dialed in, he is scary. Yeah. He can slide, he's strong, he's physical. And the thing I noticed that, I hadn't always picked up, he takes on the best guy on the court. He took on Chris Senek at the center position. He took on Boozer. He took on Peterson. He took on Amen. He just, whoever is your number one guy, he's like, that's my matchup. Mm-hmm. And you love that. The off ball stuff, we'll see. Let's give that some time. He's not as disruptive as he should be, but Metcalf, I'm pretty concerned about his willingness to make plays. And I think that's going to be picked apart because then he's just like a one-dimensional offensive player.
Yeah, it's going to be the cap on his offensive ceiling, unfortunately. But I fully agree that he plays with blinders a lot. Like his first 5 options on a possession are how he can get his bucket or draw a foul. But with that, he still averaged almost a little over 3.5 assists a game with a positive assist to turnover ratio in 40 games at Utah Prep. So it's like, I just wish that number was up around 6 or 7. So it's
with
like
how much he had the ball, it's like 3.5
exactly.
is low.
No, I know,
but
but that speaks to the flashes of like, oh man, like when you do it, good things happen. And when we look at how much fun BYU's system is and how high paced it is and what they did last year, it's like, all right, now you insert a nuclear scorer and on ball creator like that. If you're just going to dribble the air out of the ball, then it takes away everything that system generates. Right. But if he buys into it and, is feeding guys like Rob Wright and Richie Saunders and Keita rolling to the rim, there's no reason that he shouldn't be up around 7-ish assists a game.
Let's settle for 4. 4. I mean, 3.5, 4 would probably get me excited, but it's just like, what is the ratio of usage to assist percentage look like? But he's capable. To me, that's my question. But I agree. It's the what else, Rucker. It's what else can he bring to the table? All right, let's talk about Cam Boozer, our number 2 prospect. Here's my question: is Cam Boozer actually a better prospect than Cooper Flagg?
Okay. Haven't got to the season yet. Jeez, Corey. I love him. I am such a Booze Cruise baby. I'm a Boozer fan. And my question was, are we underestimating the upside? I can't do the Cooper Flagg question. That is absurd. We haven't even started the season. I like that. That's really spicy though. Maybe.
Well, if we're underrating his upside, I mean,
maybe
he's like, isn't that a similar question? Like, is he in that same stratosphere? Like he's in the stratosphere already.
Yeah, he's in the conversation, but I'm going to need to see him
better shooter,
dominate at Duke first.
Oh, I mean, he dominated everywhere else he's ever been.
I know. I'm not saying he won't. I'm not saying I doubt that he can, but if I'm going to say that he's better than the best college prospect I've scouted since Anthony Davis, I'm going to need to see it before I go there.
I feel like we're just going to constantly, and I'm with Metcalf. I feel like we're going to constantly keep, I don't know, just like not appreciating what Cam Boozer's doing. Like this 15-year-old Gatorade Player of the Year, 2-time Gatorade Player of the Year. I think he's Mr. Florida basketball 2 times. He's won everywhere.
EYBL, Chipotle Nationals,
yes.
USA.
FIBA.
He's probably the most decorated high school player ever.
He's a cyborg.
At least of the 2000s. Like,
yeah, like since it was like really tracked.
Yeah.
He's the Terminator. He's 6'9", 250, and it's just Cam Boozer around the basket.
Shoots 40% from 3.
Yeah, he's a monster. And he does the little he's a master of the little things. I'm stealing Metcalf's quote. Like, he just, every time I watch him, I'm like, gosh, man, what am I worried about with Cam Boozer? And that's how I would feel if I was in the front office. I'd be like, get Cam Boozer, and we were going to sleep like babies, because he has everything. He has the makings of a guy that's going to play 15 plus years in the NBA and be just awesome.
Maybe longer than that.
Maybe longer than
like,
that.
You know, we
with
talk
technology,
about
I don't know.
One of his big, I guess, improvement areas that he's not like, a super athlete. Mm-hmm. Well, those are the guys who are also big and physical like this.
Yep.
Who their games don't tail off the same way because they're not relying on that athleticism. It's the skill, and it's like he's already so polished that it's like, what does that look like? And look, Cooper's incredible. I mean, some of the flashes even in the preseason that we're seeing at the pro level, Metcalf, when we saw him at Summer League, he bounced back from that tough night and put up 30 on Carter Bryant, who everybody walked away from the Summer League game going, oh my God, Carter Bryant's an incredible defender. And then you're like, yeah, but Cooper Fleck had 31. So it's not even underselling. I'm not trying to undersell Cooper and what he did and be like, all right, that's last week's news. Like, it's just Boozer is so good. He was the guy that the first time I saw him when he was a sophomore, that I was like, I've never been blown away in person. Like, I've been blown away by this kid. Like, this is scary. Like, I don't know what I'm looking. He had a full box score in the first quarter. Like, and it's not like he was beating up on, local public school team. It was, he's playing legit teams. He took charges, and look, Cooper's doing that stuff too. But we talk about Cooper, one of his things, it's like he's so young, and that's why Cam's only going to be like 4 months older than Cooper was on draft night. Mm-hmm. So it's like, I don't know if we're giving him enough credit yet, like you say. And with that said, we have him at number 2, and so do I. So what does that say, about our number 1 player?
Well, hey, just real quick on Boozer, just to provide a single nitpick. So it's not 100% positive here. I do want to see a little more dynamic shot creation from him. I think he's a little too, and this is also a testament to how well he plays within the team context and makes the right plays and does the right things and rarely makes mistakes. But I would like to see a little bit more versatility, aggressiveness from him as an on-ball scorer, just getting his own every now and then. But
I think you're more worried about that than I am. Like, I'm
not worried about it.
You're very worried. It's very worried.
I'm freaking out, guys.
I want to echo what you said, because it's so perfect, and I think we forget about it with scouting and as fans. But like, we all get pumped about athleticism, but strength, power, and that is also a very athletic player. And Boozer's game ages like a fine wine.
And he's not unathletic. Let's also
no,
say
he's not unathletic. But I'm just saying, like, he has balance, power, strength. Like, that's like we did an episode of Field of 68 and the ground floor, and I was like, he reminds me of Al Horford. It wasn't me saying he can't be better than Al Horford. It's just that type of play. Like, Al Horford's still playing, near 40 years old. He's a very valuable player. So I just think Boozer is going to be a monster, and I really do think he has a game that's only going to keep getting better the older he gets and the more reps he gets.
I agree. He's awesome, and it's hard to even find a nitpick to his game because he's good at everything and he wins everything. So it's like, we should find something to nitpick about. We just can't.
And he's still ranked in the 70th percentile in isolation scoring. So I'm grasping for something.
It's so good number.
All right, Metcalf. Let's bookend this. Darren Peterson, give me your burning question. He was the one guy my sheet's blank, so I'm relying on you.
Is it concerning that I don't have one.
You know what? It seems like
am I
Rutgers.
missing?
Let's
What am I
throw it to
missing?
Rucker because I feel like we're more in than Rucker is. I feel like Rucker's the skeptic.
I got my 2.
Yeah,
okay, so you hate him.
you're skeptical.
No, it's
You might
just,
as well be Paul McNeil.
No, easy. No Paul McNeil drive-bys.
no.
Okay. I like Darren a lot. I think it's just I can't get over.
I went out with this girl the other day. I liked her a lot.
You know what it is? It's the past history of like I've gotten excited about prospects going to Kansas, and they just don't have the offensive years that I've seen. And I know, Corey, you've said this before, so I'm just, I guess, a little hesitant that it's more of I love Boozer, and I really do like Darren, because every time I watch Darren, I'm like, gosh, this kid could be a monster, a madman on the perimeter. I think maybe like it's a small sample if I'm nitpicking. I think at Prolific Prep, like his catch and shoot numbers were lower, like 28%, but it's lower volume. And he's also like, you go watch the film and you see some of the shots he's taking and like his role, his responsibility. And you're like, okay, like I understand you're trying to, make something happen. So maybe that's an area I'm just trying to watch this year, but like, it's not that I don't like Darren because I got it at 2. It's just, I like all 3 of these guys. I think it's really like any order you have right now, anyone out there that's evaluating or looking at prospects, you can have these guys in any order. I get it. I understand. Maybe not Boozer at 3, but Darren's awesome. And then you see some of the defensive flashes and you're like, oh my God, like, guys don't move like that are, playing on the perimeter at the potential 2 position. So I guess my question was the off-ball shooting. What's the role going to look like? Is Kansas really going to give him the ball and just be like, we're going to put you on ball all the time? Be a decision maker, playmaker. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, who's playing that lead initiator role for them this year?
Right.
If it's not Darren.
Right. And that's why I'm tying in like the off-ball stuff. It's like, well, is he going to get off-ball reps, or are they going to try to run sets for him, coming off screens, coming up in? I don't know. So that's where I'm at with Darren. It's just, man, I like a lot of the stuff. I'm trying to nitpick. Like Metcalf with the Boozer isolation stuff, I'm nitpicking on Darren.
Yeah, I mean, like Darren and AJ too, like they're the kind of prospects where like I don't think they're going to be concerned about their efficiency on a night-to-night basis. Like they're going to be like, well, I'm going to take the shots that I need to take tonight.
Right.
And they're either going to go in or they won't, but it's certainly not going to be because of any defender. It'll be I either made or missed the shot. I think the difference is I think Darren is proven to be a more willing playmaker and get other guys involved, which, I think he'll have some options at Kansas, which will be interesting to see. I think he'll be a really fun pick and roll operator with Flory Badunga. It's going to be really hard to guard that and be like, well, I guess I'll just leave Darren Peterson so I can, protect the rim. Like, that's a really tough position to put, a defender in, a big defending that pick and roll. So I'm intrigued to see what he does for everybody else too, but it's just so hard to nitpick his game. The shooting the track record's not there, but again, like you said, he takes tough shots and he's relied upon to do that. And, his efficiency is not going to be the same as what Con Knipple or whatever last year, who was playing a lot off the ball and taking advantage of guys and exploiting advantages rather than creating them. So he's just so exciting to me. Every time I watch another prospect and they're playing prolific, I'm just like, I can't believe how good he is.
I did that all the time, where it's just my eyes just automatically get drawn to what he's doing. Like, wait, no, I'm supposed to be scouting this other guy. Rewind, and then just do it again.
It's the meme with the guy who's like looking at the other girl instead of his girlfriend. Like that's what it is. Watching games that he's involved in when you're not scouting him, you can't help but like turn around and look at him. I think he's got a chance to be truly special. And yeah, it's hard to get excited about guard prospects at Kansas, but he's just like an outlier that it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
He could have went to Weber State or, Drake or Northwest Missouri State. It doesn't matter where he's going. He's that good. He's that guy.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Micah.
No, I get the nitpicking over the off-ball shooting, it's also on like 30 attempts.
I said low
it's like,
volume. I said low
I'm
volume.
providing a solid number so people know what low volume means, Rucker. That understand the business. Yeah, so it's 25.8% on 31 attempts, and then 42% on 62 attempts pulling up. And kind of like what Corey was hinting at, if he shoots 36% from the floor, that's not the same 36% as most other guys, because it's really, really tough shot attempts. What he has to do in terms of navigating out of getting blitzed out of the pick and roll and getting to his spots and keeping his dribble alive and never panicking and taking off balance stuff that's heavily contested. It's all really impressive. And then you throw in the freaking playmaking growth, and it's like, oh my God, I'm a little scared for some of the comps and upside that we could potentially see from him.
He's going to have some weak side blocks too.
Yeah.
That
They're terrifying.
You're going to maybe not be able to talk about it rationally when we see them at the college level.
Yeah.
Yeah. Those are ones that when you watch live, you're saying stuff on your couch that you're like, okay, wife comes around the corner. Like, what's wrong? You're like, no, it's just, I can't explain it. You won't get it.
You wouldn't get it.
You wouldn't understand. So
yeah,
he's awesome.
I can't wait to see him in person again, because the way I saw him move at the McDonald's game, it wasn't even like his play. It was just like he's skating, like he's gliding on the floor, and everybody else is walking or running. It's different. I can't wait to play this back about 7 months from now when we all look like fools for overhyping him, but I just think he's
averaging
good.
like 8 points.
He's
12%.
He's Ben McLemore.
McLemore stray drive by.
Don't you put that evil on him.
Hey, Ben McLemore actually had an incredible season.
He did, but we're not hyping Darren Peterson up to be Ben McLemore.
No, we're not. We're certainly not. But guys, that was 10 questions, maybe more than 10 that we asked, but those were our top 10 prospects that we think you guys need to know about coming into this year as to who's going to be on NBA radars coming in. So I think, we had a healthy mix of returners, young guys. And again, guys, we can't stress enough, like, this is a special top 3. And for all the skepticism that we might show and questions that we have, these are the questions that we're asking, because we know that NBA teams are going to be asking these questions too, because they're the ones who are investing millions of dollars into these guys. It's easy for us to, be like, yeah, we don't need to worry about AJ not passing that much. An NBA team's got to worry about that stuff. So that's why we're, bringing it to our attention. But these guys are going to have highs and lows that we're going to discuss all year round. We're excited. Stay here, lock in. Get ready. The season is coming soon. We'll see you next time. We're out.